Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First, we're going to give you some of the latest developments in the Brooklyn subway shooting. Talking about some of the big details as the manhunt has officially ended and the capture of the alleged suspect Frank James has been taken into custody. We'll have that discussion. Also, let's talk about black representation, black women representation. Now that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson has been confirmed for the Supreme Court, what other industries should black women be represented in? We'll have this larger conversation with Pam Curtis and culture crew member Nira Muhammad to give us some insight. And then later, we got, of course, trends, post, and doing the most for you to bring you all of the up to date on the latest things that people are talking about, as well as the fact that California is now proposing a 4-day work week, folks. Yeah, the first in the country. Should the country follow suit? We'll have that conversation. So stay with us. A lot to get to on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Folks, welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got some big stories, some big conversations planned for you today. So let's jump right into them. First and foremost, the Brooklyn subway shooting that happened yesterday afternoon, where a number of people were shot as a result of a gunman who had decided to go into the subway station, release some gas into the subway train, and then randomly started shooting. The gunman now has the suspected gunman is Mr. Frank James. Take a look at this video, folks, of the chaos that ensued just yesterday morning on the morning commute of the northbound N train that was heading into Manhattan from Brooklyn. Folks are running. You can see gas coming out of the trains, out of that subway train. And now, there was a manhunt that was happening over the past 12 to 18 hours. And that has officially ended, folks, where Mr. Frank James, who was identified essentially initially as a person of interest. Now Mr. James has went from a person of interest to being a suspect, all out suspect in this case. And Mr. James has been suspected of shooting 10 people yesterday morning. He is setting he's also, if you take a look at the smoke that's in there, smoke grenades, firing, he has shot as many as 33 shots while people were running, while people were trying to get out of the train in the Sunset Park neighborhood, right there on 36th Street in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. The attack left 29 people injured, including 10 who were shot, though none of those injuries were life-threatening. The police commissioner there, Keechant Sewell, Police Commissioner Sewell, has went on to say, and I just want to share with you just a little bit, that he had been stopped in response to a Crime Stoppers tip. They were able to apprehend Mr. James earlier today, just about an hour ago or so, at a McDonald's in the East Village. A Crime Stoppers tip came in. The person recognized Mr. James, and if he was seen in a McDonald's, and then he was later apprehended a few moments later, walking in the streets of the East Village in New York City. And he was apprehended without incident, without any fight. As the police commissioner Sewell said, they were able to shrink his world quickly. Now, our hearts and prayers go out to the victims of this shooting, which could have been a much bigger tragedy considering the number of people that have been victimized in this whole situation. And so we're happy to report that as of right now, there hasn't been any deaths, but there are some people that are on life support. So we ask that, or they're in critical condition, excuse me. So we ask that folks continue to send their prayers to all of the folks in this horrendous situation here in New York City on the subway train, and it's just mind-boggling that this situation happens just a couple of days after President Biden talks about the issue of gun control in this country. Mass shootings continue to happen all around America, and we're seeing a lot of people talking about what happened. Here's to take a look at this video, if you can, folks, of the scene that happened yesterday morning. A very, very scary situation, to say the least. You see all types of law enforcement officers and police presence and personnel on the site, along with ambulances and other emergency assistance and emergency units. And again, this was the scene yesterday afternoon in Brooklyn at the 36th Street subway station in Sunset Park, in the neighborhood of Sunset Park. If you remember yesterday, we had a very brief conversation with Dr. Steve Perry, who operates the school in Harlem, the founder of Capital Prep School there in Harlem, and how they had to evacuate the building. They had to leave early. And so our conversation had to be cut short because Dr. Steve was just ensuring that his staff and his students were going to be safe and getting home safely and sound. So this was a very, very scary situation. Again, as of right now, there hasn't been any deaths as a result of this, but there are just a number of people who are in critical condition as a result of this situation. The gunman, Mr. Frank James, he escaped the whole scene, but they discovered an array of belongings on the train that he appeared to have left behind, including a Glock 9mm. He also had some ammunition magazines, a credit card with his name on it, and a key to a U-Haul van. And they found that Mr. James had a number of grievances with government there, with the mayor, the new mayor, Eric Adams. He had an issue, saying he had done a number of videos that were posted on YouTube about, committing violence and just going on some rants about the, using violence to get his points across. So this is very, very interesting. I did read in one report how the police may possibly look into this incident as a form of domestic terrorism. I did read that in the reports. So we will have to see if that is going to be the excuse me, if that is if that is going to be the case. Are they going to move forward in using that as the premise for their charges? I want to bring in Culture Crew member Nira Muhammad, who is an author and an advocate, an educator, and she serves as the host of Queen Talks with Nira Muhammad, the podcast, to get her take on what we've been seeing and hearing about over these past 24 hours. Good afternoon, Nira. How are you, dear?
I'm well. How are you, Farajii?
I'm all right. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in New York City. I mean, this took a lot of people by surprise. 16 people were shot as a result of this situation, a subway attack. Never thought it would be that this was, this type of shooting would happen. I mean, I wasn't thinking that this type of shooting would happen. But what's your take on this?
I think you just mentioned, they want to call this domestic terrorism. I think that that's a valid label to put on this. Anytime you have American citizens going about their everyday life, just doing something that they normally do, taking the train that they normally take, and having something like this happen where they're getting shot at. I mean, I'm grateful that there weren't any casualties, but just think about how scary this is for every person that rides a train, for every person that walks out their front door. This is domestic terrorism. If I can't do the things that I normally do every single day without the fear of being shot at, and this is planned. This is premeditated. This is also something that I think that we need to be really paying close attention and have some accountability for these social media sites, because when they're seeing these patterns, when people are constantly making these posts about doing harmful things in the community, these things need to be flagged. Hell, I was flagged one time because I showed like my nipple maybe showed a little bit and I didn't realize, like in a picture, and it was flagged. So these are the type of things that also need to be flagged. If people are constantly making posts about going out to the community and harming American citizens, that should be flagged. And I don't necessarily know exactly, like, what they would do in a situation like that. But
Yeah.
when they're constantly talking about it, that makes you feel like this could have been prevented. And it wasn't. So again, this is domestic terrorism. We definitely are on a manhunt because we don't know if this is going to take place in another city. I mean, this person is obviously disgruntled. They knew what they were doing. They rented a U-Haul. They drove from Philadelphia to New York just to carry this out. So this is premeditated. This is the definition of domestic terrorism. It's scary.
Yeah, I mean, I would be with you. I'm right there with you, dear. I mean, when you look into the case of Frank James even more, they say that he had 450 YouTube videos ranting about racism, police brutality, homelessness in New York, climate change, and the invasion of Ukraine. 450 videos around those issues that you and I and others have been talking about for weeks. And I think, to your point, it speaks volumes about, when you hear about this stuff. I mean, we when we're on social media, we're inundated with so much of this news, right? We like, oh, we need to stay informed, and rightfully so, but there has to be a balance because people are losing it as a result of hearing about, all of these tragedies, all of these issues, all of these things that are just making people lose touch with reality, and they have to feel like something needs to be said, something needs to be done. But when you're posting videos and these platforms are allowing certain videos to be on their platforms, it just opens up a can of, like, it's like opening up Pandora's box. You don't know who might be the next Frank James. You don't know where those videos and how far those videos will go.
You don't, and you don't know what other people are getting inspired by these videos. I think we saw like an episode on Black Mirror where there was a situation very similar where people were posting, and young people were watching and they were taking in all this information and they were getting activated. So that's another thing. We have to be very, very careful with the words that we use, especially when we're on these platforms, because we really don't know who else is on the other end and getting activated by our words, getting activated by our actions. And that's scary. That's a very scary thing. We live in a very scary time when access to information is readily there. It's a gift and a curse. It can be an overload. I just told you guys the other day when I was on here, I took a step back from watching CNN. I've taken a step back from watching what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. I've been getting like little snippets, and it's just, for me right now at this moment, it's just been too much. You know what I mean? When you're dealing with all these things, you have to know, and you have to say to yourself, you know what? I need to take a moment to take a step away from all this information that's coming in, because I see that it's not feeding me in a healthy way. So we have to know, especially as adults, we have to be able to know and check ourselves and say, you know what? I need to take a moment. I need to take a break. I'm overloaded. This is too much for me. My emotions are becoming out of whack. We also have to trust in therapy. And I hate to be cliche, but therapy is real, y'all. And there is more and more access to therapy and having someone to talk to. We have to find healthier outlets for our emotions, for our anger. I know recently I went to the rage room and just got to pay $36 to just break some shit up, because I needed an outlet to let go of some of the anger that I was feeling. So, we have to do better. I know it's really, really hard. The information is coming at us at a fast pace. It's so readily available, but we have to find healthier ways to release those emotions, or you're going to see more cases like this on the rise. And that's the very last thing that we want.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of folks are agreeing with you on in our YouTube chat. Ms. H says, "Yeah, I agree. Posts must be flagged with threats and premeditation acts of violence, just to be put on after, if nothing else." Velo Kent SEO said, "I so agree with you, sis. I've had to step back as well." Um, and then McCole said, it sounds like the brother was experiencing some mental health challenges. That's what I
Period.
think so too, McCole. I think so. Miss
Seriously.
H and Vela, I agree with you as well. And we just heard about, I don't know, dear, if you saw this, and it wasn't a brief mention, but it was enough to kind of be on people's radars. 6 people were killed and 12 other people were injured in a shooting in downtown Sacramento this past Sunday. The incident, according to the reports, is one of 119 mass shootings so far this year, according to data from the Gun Violence Archive researchers, where they define mass shootings as 4 or more killed, excluding the shooter. So we saw another 119 mass shootings right now, and
It's crazy because I didn't even think about this, but like a coworker of mine literally just had to go to South Carolina to bury her nephew who was involved in a shooting at a club where even a pregnant woman was murdered, and there were um, multiple murders that night in that club, and we don't even think about those as being mass shootings. We think of them as being isolated situations, but it's only the beginning of April. You know what I mean? It's April 13th, I believe, and 119 mass shootings already. That's insane. How
yeah,
many are we going to get to by December?
I
What are,
mean,
what are we doing to de-escalate these types of situations, or to try to make sure that these situations aren't happening, because they're happening. If we go back, I'm sure if we look at 2021 and 2020, and maybe they're maybe a little bit lower because of lockdowns, but this isn't new information. This is like common in America. We just don't talk about it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it is not talked. Well, here's how I think we talk about it, and this is why I think the fallacy of how we talk about it. I think we're talking about it, but I think the fallacy is just on access to guns and gun control, right? It's like, oh, the president has said that he's going to lock down certain guns, or you're going to make it harder for you to get access to guns. I know lawmakers in the state of Maryland have often talked about this, but here's the one tangible part of it that's missing from those national conversations. The culture of violence is so prevalent in America.
Mhm.
You could take away the guns, but it doesn't stop someone from being violent. And I'm just saying, ideally, right? Because we see violence, and the old saying, violence is just as American as apple pie. It's like we are ingrained with violence. We grow up with violence and all of these things. So the culture has to change if you're talking about changing the behavior of people, because laws can change. Yes, laws can
Yeah.
change, but the culture is really the determining factor that is going to shift how people, right, engage with one another. If there isn't a cultural shift along with a policy change, I don't see none of those things really making a huge dent in changing what we're seeing with these mass shootings.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But then I also think that too, when you have these mass shootings, these aren't even necessarily always registered guns. So even when we're looking at changing the policies of gun control, I mean, let's be real. Like everyone doesn't go to the, go through the licensing process to even get these guns. So then that's another thing. That's like another avenue that we have to look at. How are they accessing these guns? Where are the guns coming from? But then I do think that we do need to have some policies in place. Like there needs to be some sort of, the same way you have to take a test to get your permit. You have to answer a certain amount of questions on the computer to get your permit. It should be the same way with guns. They should ask certain questions, and I think of it like those ethical or those biases tests that we have to take. I just had to take one recently for work, actually, and they asked some really silly questions. It feels like in the midst of like and I think I just took one about how I feel about like Arab people. but there are these tests that they have that are designed to really kind of see what your thought process is or what those biases are that we kind of like don't like to say that we have, because they ask like very strange and specific questions. Like, what do you think about when you hear this particular name? And you're like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But these are like tests just to really test to kind of see what our thinking is without like forthright asking us, are you a racist? You know, what are your thoughts about Black boys holding guns? I mean, like, these are questions that are on there, but like, I think they're important for us to like, there should be some type of process in order to even get a gun. Like, if you answer these certain questions wrong, you should be like out of the running for even being allowed to get a license to carry a weapon. Period.
And there's, you know, there's always the back and forth there of, you know, Second Amendment, having access to a firearm, you know, the right to bear arms.
And like, you'll have one after you take this test to prove that you're not gonna just like go out here looking for trouble, because protecting yourself and being, you know, you want to be proactive and you want to say, I'm gonna get a gun to be proactive to take care of my family in case there's an intruder. That's one thing. I understand that. But buying all these assault rifles and, you know, all these, you know, all this ammunition as if you're like about to go to, you know, war, that's another situation. That's something else. And entirely, there are some guns that Americans should not have access to. Period.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the big things that President Biden talks about with his whole Ghost Guns initiative, because a lot of these guns. How many rounds
do you need to go hunting for deer? You know, like, who are you hunting at this point?
Yeah. I mean, it's again, it goes back. I think it goes back to the fact that we have put a premium on violence in this country. We have put a premium on, quote unquote, defending yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. And I get that. And I understand that. But there has to be a balance. There has to be a very, very real balance. And when you look at how this data plays out, like, for example, there are data that's suggesting right now that mass shootings so far in 2022 are in big cities. You know, back in the day, and correct me if I'm wrong, remember a lot of mass shootings took place out in those rural areas. You know, they weren't really happening into the urban centers, right? But now they're finding out that mass shootings are happening in Buffalo, New York, Dallas, Shreveport, Louisiana. I mean, these are cities that are growing or already, you know, major urban centers that people have flocked to. And now you're seeing people just pulling out the gun anytime, anywhere, and just going off on people. And, you know, along with the gun conversation, of course, you got to talk about the mental health piece. But going back to what Mr. James was dealing with, you got all of this information. Like media, we do have a huge responsibility to make sure that as we can report the news, right, that we either add some balance to help people to kind of relieve some of the pressure. Because I know many folks watch this show and they might watch this network, and we have talked about some very serious and oftentimes very sensitive topics. And I try to keep that in mind as we are, you know, behind the scenes, that I'm not just trying to get people riled up. You keep, you know, if you keep telling people the world is this way, the world is this way, or white people are this way, or black people are this way, somebody somewhere is going to get the message, I can't take this. This is not fair. This is, oh no, we are not going to be a victim. And then boom, they crack, they break. And then it's hard to figure out at what point did they break. I don't know when Frank James broke. Is it because of Ukraine? Is it because of climate change? Is it because, you know, the homeless situation in New York City is just absolutely insane? I don't know. And it's hard to say.
From New York City, like, he has addresses in like Philadelphia, and I believe they said like
Wisconsin.
I'm just like, why do you feel this strongly against New York City if you don't even live in New York City? Like, there's so many questions, but that makes us realize like there is definitely some mental health issues going on there. And I think, you know, I want to be empathetic to that, because I know that there's something deeper going on there, but it's so hard when you're left with this like long list of victims who could have potentially lost their lives. And then think about, all the post-traumatic stress that they're going to be dealing with as a result of being in a situation like this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
maybe they'll be scared to travel, on the subway or even leave their house. I mean, there's just so much that comes out of these situations. And I really do hope that every single person that was a victim in this situation is going to get some mental health help, even if, maybe they weren't injured physically. But I do hope that everyone does seek some sort of counsel and get some sort of help, because that's very traumatic. It's very traumatic, and it's very scary to be in a situation where you're just doing an everyday thing, like traveling to work, and you're, a part of a mass shooting. That's scary.
Absolutely. I think that's an excellent point that you made, and I think you're absolutely right. I want to share this very quickly as we wrap up this part of the conversation. The National Shooting Sports Foundation used data from the ATF and reports from the U.S. International Trade Commission, and to get a better sense of how many guns are actually in current circulation in the country. Check this out, folks. There are a little bit of like 320 million people in this country. That's man, woman, and child, roughly, right? That's what based on the U.S. Census. There's an estimated 434 million firearms in civilian possession, with about half, which is about 214 million of those entering the market since 1991. Of those, America's rifle, the AR-15, and similar semi-automatic dubbed modern sporting rifles, is also highly in high circulation. But you have more guns in civilian possession than people. That means essentially that we know every man, woman, and child is not carrying a gun. We all know that. So you have some gun owners that have 2, 3, 4 guns. You got 20 million automatic rifles that are out there in the marketplace, right? So that just goes to show us that this country, we love guns, we love violence. So anytime you talk against guns and violence, you're going to get some blowback. And more importantly, the conversation around restorative justice, peaceful reconciliation is not going to be heard loud and clear over the gunfire. It's just not going to happen. So there has to be some middle ground here. We're certainly not going to figure that out at this moment, but there just has to be some middle ground here. And I think people have felt like, my guns, I got the right, I should be able to deal with this. The government needs to catch up. And I'm like, whoa, 434 million guns in civilian possession, 20 million automatic rifles. Like, everybody ain't hunting deer.
No, not at all.
So this is going to be an ongoing conversation. And I think especially within our community, dear, like the Black community, the brown communities, especially those communities that are often marginalized and the ones that are penalized the most when it comes to gun issues, we do have to have some different conversations. Because just as much as we might say, oh yeah, I got the right to bear arms, you can't pull out no gun and you can be a licensed gun owner and still get prosecuted or still get killed by the police or other people. So there has to be a balance, because right now it's not working. It's just simply not working. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's have a bigger conversation. Let's talk about Black women representation. I wanted to have a discussion around what's next now that we see Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson taking the big seat in the Supreme Court. Well, what other areas are Black women are fairly underrepresented? We're going to continue our conversation with Culture Crew member Nira Muhammad. And I'm also going to bring in community developer and speaker Ms. Pam Curtis to give us some insight about Black women representation. So we'll have that conversation up next. So stay with us. A lot to get you in the second 30 of the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Folks, welcome back. I wanted to have a conversation about Black women representation. Now that we see the confirmation of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson as she heads to the Supreme Court, many questions are asked. Many people are asking the question, what's next for Black women? There is still a number of industries where Black women are underrepresented. Such industries are entertainment, tech, as well as government. And so I thought that it might be helpful for us to have this conversation. I mean, yes, we are excited. We're happy for Judge Jackson. But now, how do we make sure that Black women are not just getting a seat at the table, but are substantially represented in these spaces and in these industries? I want to share with you just some of the latest data that we found. And then we're going to jump into our conversation with Culture Crew member Nir Muhammad and my special guest, Ms. Pam Curtis. And if we take a look at this, folks, take a look at some of this data. I'm going to pull this up for us. When we're looking at this piece of representation, this came out of the USA Today. There was an op-ed that was written by USA Today, And Keen, if we can bring up this quote around what we're seeing with this whole thing around Black women representation. After Judge Jackson, where do we go from here? Jackson's story of accomplishment is one that can inspire all Americans, but her treatment by some lawmakers who addressed her with disrespectful, degrading questions during the Senate confirmation hearings is the perfect example of why the fight for Black female representation in places of power must continue. The majority of those doing the questioning were white male decision makers. Across the board, at every level of government, Black women are underrepresented. This is also true in other sectors: business, entertainment, tech, and technology. We have a long way to go before our representation reflects our population, our strength, and our influence. A long way to go. And again, that was a op-ed that was written by three opinion contributors, Glenda Carr, Monica Simpson, and Leah Daltrey, who talked about this idea of Black women representation. So I thought that we should have a discussion around where are Black women? How do we make sure that Black women are represented? They're not just seated at the table, but they're truly there in these industries. So we're going to bring back Culture Crew member who is an activist, educator, and host of Queen Talks with Nira Muhammad, my wife, Nira Muhammad. We're going to bring her back into this conversation, of course. And of course, I wanted to bring on a special guest. He has a sister that's been doing some fantastic work in around the city of Baltimore and across the country. She is a community developer and a speaker, and we're happy to have her on The Culture here on Black Star Network, Miss Pam Curtis. Pam, thank you for joining us. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing good. Good day, King and Queen. How are y'all doing today?
We're good. We're good. We are definitely good. Pam, I want to get your take on this first, and then I want to hear near what you have to say about this. But looking at the fact that Black women are not represented, Pam, as prominently that Black women should, considering the academic achievements that Black women have had, considering the fact that Black women tend to work twice as hard to get only halfway there. That's what I read from one Black woman. She said, we got to work twice as hard to get halfway there. Considering the fact that now there is I would say, a renewed interest in the state of the Black woman in this country. Why aren't we seeing the representation, the numbers that we need to see in some of these major industries like government, business, and technology?
So I don't know if people expect me to say, oh, because we aren't speaking up, or because, we are being overlooked. It goes deeper than that. We honestly have to put the mirror in front of ourselves. Have we allowed people to feel comfortable enough to overlook us? And often, honestly, we as women, and this is going to be very transparent, and this is my opinion, and this is from what I see as a community president, a mom of sons, and being very active and being on probably about 10 meetings a month with the police department, school, and so forth and so on. But here's the thing. We have to realize that we are more than just being in the kitchen. We have to realize that we are more than having to explain even our art, our style, our words. So when I tell you, it is disheartening to me for people to actually actively see women of color, African American women, Black women, whatever you want to, reference us to be. It is disheartening to witness even us continue to be overlooked, and then we allow us to be overlooked. We have power, we have numbers, and on top of that, they keep coming to us for our vote. So it honestly, it's sad when even reading the article to know that it was 115 prior appointments with African American women, and and king, queen, come on, and she's the first. And what year are we in? We do have a long way. Exactly. We do have a long way to go, but still it starts with us. We have to make sure that we rally around our sisters that is next versus sizing a sister up. We have to get ourselves in order first as well. But now when it comes to the system that seems to be greater than us in society, which is the government, we have to not allow them to use us. We have to allow them not to use us, but know that we are powerful and that we have to have each other back. And I know every sister is not going to be like your wife, is not going to be like me, because I know your wife. She will speak her truth. She will speak her mind, and she will not apologize. And honestly, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, because what I have continued to see, they want us to be strong Black women, empowering Black women, leaders. But then they want to slide us a cue card so they can tell us what to say about our community, about our people. No, forget the cue card, and don't see me as a token, because I am going to rewrite the future for my people. It's so this whole dynamic of her being confirmed, it's beautiful to me. It is beautiful to me. And again, we still had to turn around and definitely look to our right and look to our left. We should not always have to all the way turn around because our people is too far behind us. They should be right next to us, backing us, pushing us, covering us, and also correcting us. So now with that even being said, we lack in community development. I'll be honest, to even hear down to the community developer, Dana Henson, a sister in Park Heights, and that she has redeveloped so much even within her own company, multi-millionaire company. And then of course her father is Dan Henson, right? But even having a conversation with Dana, and she said sometimes that when she walk into these meetings and the whole table is full of white men making decisions on Black communities, and when they see her being a Black woman, they think that she's a secretary there to take notes, because they aren't used to seeing us in a place of authority, a power, and then also development. We have to get in every area that we touch: medical, development, media. We really have to start producing for our communities. So yes, I think this is hot. This is needed. And this is a must for everyone to really renew their mind, because that's how we can only move forward, when we renew our mind.
And to that point, Pam, when I think about representation, I've been reading a number of pieces around this there when we're talking about representation. And some people say that representation can only get us but so far. So I'm wondering, do we keep placing this emphasis on the numbers, the fact that, okay, if you have a certain number of Black women in this industry, therefore you should have a certain number of Black women in the leadership of that industry? Do we keep pushing that? Because, we had a previous conversation on this show talking about representation politics. And again, we talk about being at the table, being in the room.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that representation doesn't always garner the significant, substantial change that many of us are seeking and desiring. So should we just place it on making sure that Black faces, that in a room full of white men, you have one or two Black women that are present? Is that going to be enough to change or shift, the power into a different place?
Absolutely not. And it's exhausting. That's exhausting. I talked about that before, like being the token Black woman in the room who all the hopes and dreams and feelings of all Black people rest on my one Black woman's shoulders. That is exhausting. Sometimes I just want to show up at the table as a teacher, not a Black teacher, just a teacher. Sometimes I want to show up at the table as just an artist, not as a Black artist, but just a fucking artist. Like, I'm an artist. I'm a writer, period. I am Black. I get that. But I don't always want my Blackness to lead for me. That is just the color of my skin. It does speak to my struggles, yes. But I'm also a woman. Also, I don't want to walk into a room where there are only white men at the table. Where are the Latina sisters? Where are the Latino brothers? Where are the Black men? Where are the Asian women? Where are the Asian brothers? This is not just about Black. This is about America and our systems, our patriarchal white society. Because even white women, where are the white women at? Because guess what? They're being overlooked too. Their thoughts and feelings are being ignored as well, which is why you're starting to see so many Black and white women banding together, because we're realizing, you know what? We got a lot of some of the same issues. We're dealing with the same stuff. You know what I mean? So for me, I recognize my Blackness. I love being a Black woman, but I'm not always leading with my skin color. I'm trying to lead with the stuff that like matters to me, which is my mind, which is what I bring to the table, my education, my heart, not the fact that I'm a Black woman, because that's a given. I know that. I check that box every time proudly. Yes. You know, I don't have an issue saying, yes, I'm a Black woman. I don't need to try to, make you know how to pronounce my name. I don't give a damn about none of that. I know who I am. Right. I'm comfortable with who I am. Yes. I don't need to prove that. And I'm sick of always having to lead with my Blackness. It's tiring. Mm-hmm. I'm just tired of it altogether. And I'm tired of us wanting to be at the table with white people.
Come on.
Yeah. I want to be at the table. I want to be at my table, and if I want to invite you to my table, then that's fine. But I'm tired of always begging for a seat at yours.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Listen, honestly, I have to say this because I just stated this today on a Zoom with the city, and because we have taught and first of all, sister, queen, goddess. I just love your flag. I just do. Like, I just admire you. So yes. So it's like you turn me up a little bit. And that's what I was like, because I just stated this. Because when I was on this Zoom with the city of Baltimore today, one of their agencies, and the white lady, she asked the question. She said, she was like, so what can we bring to those neighborhoods? Pam, can you think of a neighborhood in Baltimore City that you would like to mirror, such as, this neighborhood or that neighborhood? She named the neighborhoods, but I don't name neighborhoods. My thing is, I'm not comparing myself. I am not comparing my people. I am not coming to the table and say, oh, yes, can we be like them? Can we? No, because here's the thing. My purpose is to speak up for my people. So why would I try to mimic you? And your purpose is not to do nothing for our people. And if that's why I am and then y'all may agree to disagree, but I do believe in reinventing the wheel, especially when the wheel was not built for us. It was not built for us. It was not. But guess what? They program us by sometimes getting the token Black person that is popular to us, pay them off, and then get them to say, hey, you know what? Do not reinvent the wheel. Do not reinvent the wheel, because and then when you rise as queen and then I rise as queen, we are just looked as, okay, that's the rebel. No, how about the spirit of my ancestors? No, something's not right. Destroy the will because it's going against your Black men that are actually rightfully the head of the household. Like, come on now. Absolutely. So yes, so then seeing a sister, a Black woman, to be confirmed, to even seeing former President Barack Obama, get into office, even if it's one, that one has planted a seed in someone,
Right.
that one have watered the seeds within someone else. So yes, granted, sometimes we do need 10 and 15 and 20 to show them, stop playing with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other times, one or two of us just need to rise, be consistent, and be firm, and cannot be brought behind closed doors. So absolutely.
Yeah. No, and I think that's the other part, and that brings me to this other part, this other question, Pam and Nira, which is, and I think that only time will be able to tell, or be able to give this answer. We don't know. One of the big things that I'm seeing around the conversation about the confirmation of Judge Jackson is that people are saying this is going to inspire my daughter. I hear a lot of Black women saying that this confirmation is going to inspire my daughter. And I'm not trying to throw rain on anybody's parade, but that's why I said only time will tell. But I'm not seeing how, for example, when President Obama got into office, people say this is going to inspire the next generation of Black boys. I think that we are still in a place where LeBron James is more influential than President Obama is among Black boys.
It bothers me so much when I ask my students that question, who do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And it's just because I like to see what they're going to say.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you guys, and I hate to say it, I hate it, because this is not me being biased. I've asked like every class the same question. Only kids who give me, I hate to say this, my Black kids always say something like a football player or a rapper, and my white kids always say something like an astrophysicist or, I want to be an engineer. And my Black boys always say football, basketball, or rap, or YouTube. All of them. And it breaks my heart. They don't say that they want to be like Obama. They don't say that they want to be a judge or a politician. They don't say that. The 4 things that I get, 4: basketball, football, rapper, or YouTuber. That's it.
Wow.
All my white kids say the most brilliant things that they want to be when they grow up. And I'm just like, that's the point that I try to get them to by the end of the school year, though. So you know what I mean? Like, and that's me as a Black teacher. From the beginning of the school year, you may have wanted to be a rapper, but by the end of the school year, I'm checking back.
Right. Yeah.
Because I want to see if your level of consciousness has changed, if the value that you see on yourself has changed. So I'm always looking for ways to tap into who they are, their skills and their strengths, to try to pull that stuff out. Because they're not looking at Obama. They're not. Our girls are not looking at Judge Ketanji Brown. They're not. They're looking at Meg Thee Stallion. They're looking at, they're not. They're not. It's a myth. I'm sorry to say it, but it's just, they're not. They're not looking at these figures. And we can say that, but maybe that's something to us adults. But as an educator in Baltimore City schools, our children are not saying those things. They're not saying that they want to be like Amanda Gorman. They're just not. But we got to change that.
That's right.
Both at home and in the schools. We as Black mothers and fathers and aunties and uncles and godmothers, we have to change that, because it's not enough for it to be happening on CNN and in the major news. Our kids aren't following that. They don't know that. We got to sit them down and have these conversations. We have to instill that love of self and of Black culture and of Black excellence in them, because they don't see that. They want to be like YMWB, whatever, young boy. I don't know.
Right. But so it goes. So my theory, and this was just a theory, and so it sounds like my theory has more, credence.
It does,
because if that's the case, and my point of bringing that up, my point in simply bringing that up is, there still has to be some cultural reinforcement that has to happen on our end. Because as much as, I was inspired by President Obama, right? Mm-hmm. But then look at as much as all of us, and I'm talking about as adults, as much as we have been inspired by President Obama or First Lady Michelle Obama or any one of these great people, right? Like, we were inspired, but there is now conversation saying we will never see another black man as a president.
But then my thing starts like, you're inspired to do what? You're inspired. You can say I'm inspired because it could be, there's like two ways to look at inspiration. You can look at it as a noun or you can look at it as a verb. You can feel inspired.
Okay.
I'm inspired. That's what I am. But what are you going to do with that inspiration? Are you now going to take that inspiration to put it into action, or are you just going to sit in that feeling? So you have to, like, we got to be intentional about what we do with that. That's the same way I think about love. Love is a verb and it's a noun. I can be in love. That's the noun. That's the thing I can hold on to. I'm holding on to love. But now I can love someone and put that into action. So it's semantics.
Right, or you can personify love, right? You can become
a inspiration. Okay, you're inspired that a black woman is now on the Supreme Court, and what did it inspire you to do?
Exactly. Now what?
Now what? And I think, Pam, that is the big question. That's why I wanted to have this conversation with both you and Nira, because I'm like, I don't want this situation to go down into a space, because I think what Judge Jackson was able to accomplish is a big thing. But then you have to break that big moment down into a cultural tidbits, so that way we can start having different conversation. And I've said this before, like, I said it during the confirmation hearing for her. I said, this almost feels like when President Obama was running for office back in 2008. We were all excited, right? Mm-hmm. But for example, are we seeing, and will we see, and this may not happen just in the legal world, but will we see an influx of black girls wanting to be judges? Because just as much as you got this great accomplishment, this great woman that was able to achieve this great place, there has to be a pipeline of greatness that's going to continue to produce black women of high qualifications to be in that space, right? Because yes, this is a life appointment. And so God forbid that anything happens to her, very, very soon. So, we hoping that she's going to serve 40, 50 years on the bench, right? But there has to be a pipeline. What is the pipeline for black women in entertainment to really be seen and have your stories told in entertainment? What's the pipeline for black women in tech? What's the pipeline for black women in business? There has to be, because I think for us as black people, we've gotten to this thing like, oh, we have made it, but it's just one person.
Mm-hmm. None of this is going to matter, Farajii, if we don't teach our children about the judicial system, for one.
Come on now. Come on.
Yeah.
The branches.
There's so many levels to this. Like, it's not going to matter unless we have to change our education, for one. Like, we got to change the way that our children view education. How? Our kids only respect their teachers. Like, there's so much that needs to change on from a very fundamental level. I had to tell my babies the other day, my babies didn't even know what slavery was. What's that? Huh? What's slavery?
These are black children.
Black children. This year I have no white students in my class. I have all black children. And I had to have a conversation with my babies about what slavery was. And they're always asking me questions. Our children do want to know. They're so curious. But I'm curious as to why parents don't have certain conversations with their children. And this is me saying that as black people, we gotta instill certain things from infancy. We have to teach our babies from infancy. We have to teach them at home. I have to have conversations with my daughter now about the fact that there's a black woman who sits on the Supreme Court, because they're not going to teach her that shit in school.
No.
They're not going to teach her that in school. Then, I didn't know about Marcus Garvey till hell I got to college. You know what I mean? Like, these are things that are not being taught. These are things that are not, our children don't know. How would they know that they want to be that, or that they can be, even down to the way that our children learn about Dr. King is so watered down.
Facts.
It's our history is so watered down. So we got Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, Dr. King, and Malcolm X. That's who we got. Oh, maybe George Washington Carver if you want to throw in a scientist. That's what we got. So,
and look, I'm We got to take a quick pause because I got to take this break, dear. But Pam, Neil, when we come back, let's continue the conversation. Yeah. We're going to also bring in some comments coming from our YouTube and our Facebook watchers. Folks, we're talking about Black women representation. You know, what's next after Judge Jackson's confirmation? All I'm saying is that you got all of these different varying cultural factors. Neera's bringing up big pieces: education, understanding the history, making sure that there still is a cultural shift from looking at president from rappers and athletes to presidents and justices. How do we change all of that? And of course, how do we create that pipeline? Still more to come. Stay with us. It's The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, welcome to the second hour of today's show as we're talking about Black women representation. I'm having a dynamic conversation. Two powerful women who I have great love and admiration for. My wife, Neera Muhammad, who is an activist, educator, and host of Queen Talks with Neera Muhammad podcast. And we also are talking to Ms. Pam Curtis, who is a community development consultant and national speaker. We've been talking about this issue, folks, of Black women representation. You know, now that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson has officially been confirmed to the Supreme Court, people are asking the question, and I'm not just talking about anybody. I'm talking about other Black women are asking the question, what's next? How do we make sure that Black women are represented in other industries like government, technology, tech industry, and business, just to name a few, along with entertainment? So we're continuing to have this conversation, and folks, so many of you have been checking in and sharing your thoughts about this discussion. I just want to share with you what people are saying, ladies. Janelle checked in and says, we have to be deliberate about it. Our community has to do education, pop-up ads like their public service announcements, and make them ever present the way Schoolhouse Rock used to pop up on TV.
Right.
Yes.
Love Schoolhouse Rock still.
Hey, look. I learned how a bill became a law.
Conjunction with their function? Oh my gosh. I still show that stuff. Kids love Schoolhouse Rock. It's old.
I mean, look, you gotta be creative to get these ideas across. So I love it. Saltine Crackers say Joe Biden put a Black woman in position to be nominated as the first Black woman to ever sit on the Supreme Court. So that Black people, especially Black women, will get him reelected in 2024. That
Absolutely
may or may not.
I'm not voting for him, but thank you.
It may or may not.
Thank you.
It may or may not. Janae says, agreed. Parents should not feel some type of way because there are some new career paths that they are not familiar with, but that child could be great at. Speaking about the issue of, we always put before Black boys in particular, right? Your path can be sports, your path can be a trade. You know, we're not putting into enough conversations, and I'm just saying this, and I'm saying this as a collective, folks. How many of you, and you ain't gotta, I can't see you if you raise your hand, how many of you saying, son, you could be, or daughter, you could be the next president of the United States? How many of you are saying you could be the next senator for your hometown? Or how many of you are saying that you could be the next judge?
Look, Pam, we got sons. I'm over here like, dang, I ain't raising my hand on none of these.
You know what I'm saying?
But my son already know who he want to be. He said he wants to be a scientist, and he's into astrophysics.
And so that's great. So you know what I'm saying? So we're having that. Taylor says, we often don't realize that integration just occurred with our parents and grandparents. The struggle didn't end. We got in, but they didn't want us. The teachers didn't switch over when we showed up.
So, a point to that. Schools are still very highly segregated now, which is really funny. But to her point, we have white teachers in Black schools. So now my issue with integration is that it was supposed to be to, like, you know, provide us with better opportunities, better, you know, books, better materials, better supplies. But the issue is that the curriculum changed.
Come on now.
So, you know, I literally just had this huge, like, not huge argument, but I got really pissed off with my coworkers because I was told by a white woman that what time I needed to start my lesson. And I know my class. I know what time my students get to school. And you know, it's very important for my students to learn language arts. And I made a comment to them. I said, you know, I teach Black children because I care about Black children. I don't teach Black children so that they can take an MCAT. And they all shut up. They didn't say anything else to me. They didn't have anything to say. But this is the reality of what our educational system looks like in inner cities. And I want to say this is in urban cities across America. I'm not even going to just put this on Baltimore. So this is now to Black adults, college age. If we want to see real changes in the classroom, we need to be in the classroom.
Exactly.
Can't keep complaining about education and not get into education. It's too many white women. I think 70 or 80% of teachers across America are still white women.
Yeah.
70% at least are white women across America. That is a problem.
So we gotta add even the education industry to that list.
We don't inspire people to want to be teachers.
Wow.
Right. And
go ahead, Pam. Yes, ma'am.
And to even piggyback off of you, Queen, it's very disturbing to me to even witness white psychologists and also white counselors, because I remember even growing up and this was in East Baltimore, going to Dunbar Middle School. We all had a time to meet with the counselor. And what I noticed is that when the young Black boys, my classmates, came back to class, of course, we're like, so what your test results, you know, show you, and so forth and so on, because they had to give us our options according to a test that more likely was not created for us.
Right.
So I swear to you, every one of my classmates that came back, that is on my social media, we kept in touch all these years. They said truck driver. They said down to maintenance. Janitor. It was crazy. And that's why we as parents, we as fathers, we as mothers, we have to see what's being taught to our children, and then also educate ourselves about the system too. And then prime example, even when it comes down to our sons having IEPs, I can vouch for that. Yeah. And then this is a public and national testimony. When I said, no. You will not give my son just 10 spelling words because he has an IEP. Give him 20 like the rest of the class. And do you not know my youngest son, Malachi, have had an IEP throughout his entire school up until his 9th grade year. When I said, something isn't right, I know my son can comprehend. Of course, he can read because he's above grade level, even in reading. And do you not know, even as of this year, he is a junior in high school. And when I took him off the IEP, well, they dropped the ball and they try to put it back on for funding. No,
girl.
Listen, keep them up. Keep them off. And then do you not know, even from last school year and this school year, I have posted about it. My son has honors classes. He has been on the principal's honor roll. And then on top of that, and now he see his options have spread, have increased, have soared. So now it went from being a fireman, which he have always loved, and now ever since he got on the honor roll, now he wants to be an architect.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love it.
So then that's why we have to use our resources, but also educate ourselves to make sure that we aren't dumbing down our children by not challenging the system, not challenging the world.
I agree.
We have to.
I agree. Now, I want to bring up another part of this conversation, which I've been seeing and reading and just listening and hearing from a lot of folks, which is this, especially for Black women and Black girls. It starts from I think from girlhood, the double standard that we're seeing. And, I wonder to myself, should we start teaching Black girls in particular to measure up to the double standard that is already prevalent and that is already present that in this country? Because like we saw with Judge Jackson, going back to her confirmation hearings, you got to be twice as good to get to the same place. So I'm wondering, okay, in this larger conversation about representation, how do we get over the hump of the double standard?
Oh, I'm not teaching my daughter she has to be twice as good.
I'm
teaching my daughter to show up as she is, because you already out, you already outbid everybody else. That's the problem. Stop teaching. We have to stop thinking that we have to try to be better. And no, I'm showing up just as I am because I already fit the mold. I'm already way light years ahead of the mold.
Yes.
So guess what? I need y'all to catch up to my fly at this point. Because I'm already there. I already exceeded the expectation. That's what we should be teaching our girls. You've exceeded the expectation. They got to catch up to you. That's how I'm teaching Nyana.
How do you, and I hear that.
I'm letting y'all know, Nyana Karima is going to be a mess. Because she's coming ready.
She is all.
We were hiking yesterday. Baby girl had my Chanel sunglasses on and her purse, hiking. My baby... She said she stay ready so she don't have to get ready. Okay.
Well, here's the thing though, Pam. Here's the thing. And I hear you loud and clear there in the sense of, you showing up as you are. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we're still part of a society and a cultural experience where for Black girls in particular, and in some cases, Black boys, that doesn't cut the mustard. That's not enough.
No. That's the thinking. That's the manifestation right there, though. I'm gonna put it out in the atmosphere.
Come on now.
That I already am that I am. Like God said, I am that I am. We gotta stop teaching them that they aren't enough and that they gotta try to be better. No, that's the negative thinking. I'm cutting that off. I'm cutting that tie.
Yeah.
That slave mentality that I gotta work even or twice as or 3 times or 4 times as hard to be just as great. No, I don't. That's a lie that's perpetuated by white supremacy that I'm not allowing myself to fall victim to.
Man, what's your take on that?
Right. Oh no, honey. I agree with I agree. What? I agree for the simple fact is that this right here. I did not tell my son or my sons. I did not ever tell Xavier. I did not ever tell Malachi oh yeah, you don't want an IEP because you want to be like such and such. That goes back to what I told the woman. I'm not comparing what I want my community to look like because I'm looking at yours. I have a path. My children have a path. Listen, your son and your daughter are going to be better than y'all. Be better than y'all. And then sometimes jealousy will come into play because I even see fathers jealous of their sons.
That's real.
I even see fathers jealous.
Hey, Pam, that's real, sis. That's real.
I see fathers jealous of their sons, and then I even see mothers jealous of their daughters. So now it's like, I'm not going to mother you. I'm going to see you as my homegirl, and I will not give you fair warning on that type of guy because I dated that type of guy, and you too have to learn. No. We have to be not only the creators of our children, but feed them, call them kings and queens, educate them on the system, tell them to get off their cell phones. Like I tell my sons since they were small, when we are in this car, you better look around and know where you are and know your city. And then on top of that, I'll ask them questions. So when we used to see, y'all gonna say, Pam, you were trading them for the FBI or something. No, but let me tell you, driving, I swear to you, driving, we could be driving down North Avenue, guys. And if I see a light, if when I seen a light flickering, I would tell them, listen, if you ever see that in your community, don't go to social media like, oh my goodness, this council person, this delegate, or whatever. No, this is what you do when you see that on your block. You call 311, you get the SR number, you hold the SR number, and then that's when you email the representative for that community. You have to educate them. And then also this, I tell them, I don't care about familiar faces. You don't vote for anyone because they want to take a picture with you. You don't vote for anyone because they have the familiar face and maybe the same complexion, the same race as you. You try spirit by the spirit. Make sure that they aren't being used because they are just, I'll say, they are the root, but then they aren't connected to their roots.
Okay.
The difference.
Pam. Yeah, so the whole idea of I'm rooting for everyone black, I like the concept, but all black ain't black. And we gotta admit that. And I know, like, when I hear, like, people might be like, oh, Nira, that's, why would you say that? And I always say this, I'm very authentic. I've been raped twice, and both times were by black men. So for me, all black ain't black. I still gotta protect my neck regardless to what the race is. And when it comes to voting, I'm not voting for somebody because of popularity. I'm not voting for somebody necessarily because they look like me. Now, yes, do I want my representation to look like me? You damn right I do. But at what expense? If you've been in this office and you look like me and you've been in this office for years and I'm not seeing changes, I'm not voting for you because of your personality or because you think you can make a cute little YouTube video.
Right.
You can throw a little Kanye West music in the back of the video and you're supposed to have my vote? Absolutely not. It's insulting to my intelligence when you do that.
Yeah. And I think that, when you look at the political space, as we talk about this, folks, when we look at the political space, black women aren't, for example, we don't even have black women governors. If Stacey Abrams wins this bid for governor of the state of Georgia, she will be a part of a very, very small number of black governors, let alone black women governors. You know what I'm saying? Now, some people might look at, if she wins, that's a victory. And it is, because somebody got to break the barrier, right? Somebody got to go through that glass ceiling.
Right.
But it's really sad, too, that in 2022, a black woman can still be the first in something. That's the sad part about it. Like, it's like what they call a Pyrrhic victory, where, you know, there was some gain, but the gain is more on the moral side versus the side of tangible, substantial win, a tangible, substantial win. And so, you know, when we look at that, and I think that for us as Black people in this country, we have been in a situation where we haven't made any gains for so long that any gain is held on to as being the ultimate gain.
Yeah.
And that has to change. I mean, I think culturally that has to change. Like, you know, it's like the conversation that we had just a few days ago about Black excellence. If Black people do things like Black excellence shouldn't be predicated upon this idea that because you did something great, like one person did something great, therefore they're Black excellent, as if we're not all Black excellence, because we all live in a system and we're all working toward to be in a better place. So just our very existence and wanting to be great is a sign of Black excellence for us all. Same thing for this idea that, you know, if one person makes it, we all, I mean, like, we still have a lot of work to do. This is 2022.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me we don't have a Black woman governor? And if we get one, if we get one.
You know, my problem, Farajii, is though, like, my problem with some of these situations, and I think this was kind of like what Barack had kind of spoke to in his book. I have an issue when Black people do get into these positions of power and then they say shit like, oh, I didn't want to come off like I was too Black. I didn't want to really help Black people because that would have been too obvious. Like, we want Black representation, but what do we do when they don't do shit for Black people?
Come on,
like,
now.
is it just because we like the figurehead of a Black person being there? Or do we want Black people that are going to get in these positions and actually create change and policies that impact Black people?
Yes.
I'm not really seeing that.
Yes, law and policy. We have been suffering.
That's a great point.
With the crumb mentality. Let me explain that. The crumb mentality. We have been receiving crumbs for so long. We have allowed systems to give us crumbs. Listen, to give us crumbs and tell us, hey, a man can't be in your house for these crumbs. So then just because you have a pound of crumbs, oh yeah, you know that I can't have you in the house as, you know, the father to our children. I can't have you in the house as the head of the household, as the true Black man should be in, you know, in the household. We have allowed society to give us pounds of crumbs. And then finally, when they give us a slice, we think we better. Check this out. If you have a crumb, you ain't there. You have a slice, you are not better. You are not bougie because you have the loaf. If you don't have that recipe, and then if you don't turn to the right of you, if you don't turn to the left of you and share that recipe with your sisters, with your brothers, with guess what, the school system, with the parents, with the community associations. So guess what? So that they won't allow white developers from other counties and states come in and build. You aren't shit if you don't have that recipe, and that is for real. So,
I might have to put that one on a shirt. I don't want the seat at the table. I don't want to be on the menu. I want the damn recipe.
You have to have the recipe.
And I'm gonna build myself a damn table, and you know I will, because I built my own table before.
You're pretty handy. You're pretty handy with the tools, so we know that.
I built the table. Listen, you know I know how to do it. I'm trying to wish that.
Right.
But we do, and Pam.
But that's real though. We have to stop always waiting to be invited places, waiting to be invited to the table. Why do we do that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that has been put before us as being the sign of progress. Like when somebody invites you into a space that has been deemed exclusive for all these years, it's like going to a club, right? When you get to the velvet rope and they like, oh, I'm going to you go to the VIP, sir. Oh, you go to the VIP now. Oh, I'm so sorry, you're not on the list. The whole idea of not being, when you're on the list, you go crazy. You be like, oh, I'm in a VIP. You know how black people go, oh, we buying bottles tonight. We VIP. We up in it.
VIP because they don't really dance in VIP. Put me in a regular section. I want to dance.
But no, here's what I'm saying. And as we wrap this up, I mean, it's about having access to what's deemed to be exclusive.
You're right.
And when black folks, when we have, and particularly when you're talking about in leadership in any of these industries, having that level of access is a big deal, especially if what you've been taught all your life is to get happy about the access. Don't get now that's what we've been taught. Now we don't know that once you get in there, you still got some other stuff to do. You still got more places. You got to now you got into the room, but you may not have the power. Just getting in the room that's the other part that we don't really emphasize.
Right.
That you get into the room, you can get into the room, but guess what? You can't speak now until you gain the respect of people who already been in the room for years.
Yeah, like you came into the room, but I'm gonna let you in through the back door. You're gonna sit here, take notes.
Just take notes.
We gave you the company pen.
Right, there we go. And so the goal, I think, dear and Pam, I think that those things have to change. Like we have to say, not only do we want to get into the room, be at the table, but we want to be seen and heard. Yeah. That's a different level of power. Yes. That's a different level of power. And I think for black women, like y'all are going to have, and y'all going to have to bust down the windows and the glass ceilings and all of those things. And here's the other part. We didn't speak on it today, but we'll talk about it. Black men have to assist in that process too. We still got to get past the little stuff within ourselves that say, no, I can't have no woman going further along than me as a man. Oh man, please. There are going to be some spaces, dear, that you're going to go further along. But guess what? I'm right there with you.
Can you hold your purse, Farajii?
There it is. If I'm the guy that's got to hold the purse, but I'm still up in that mofo. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. See, King.
I'm still up in there.
Right. See, King, and then right there. That's what I tell people. People only read the first half of that scripture where it says a man that findeth a wife findeth a good thing, but it's a comma. It says a man that findeth a wife findeth a good thing, comma, and obtain favor. And that's why some men are in these deadbeat relationships, dead in relationships, because they aren't with their favor. They're out here struggling because you aren't with your favor. But at the same time, we as women need to know how to lead and then be balanced enough to still love and, adore and cover our husbands. Because guess what? Because it should not be a competition, because there will be some doors that you can go in that your wife can't go in. Sure. And then there will be some doors that she will go in that you can't get in. But guess what? But then there will be doors when God give y'all both a feeling like, look, baby, forget a door. Let's build this door. Let's build this building. Forget asking them. It's within us. That's the thing. Society have reprogrammed us to ask them when we possess it.
Right. And you know what, Pam? And I love how you said it. And I think the biggest form of representation is that when a man or a woman, or especially black women, when they know their role.
Yes.
Like when you are knowledgeable about who you are, and you love the skin that you're in, and that you go into any space and you are staying true to yourself, that's the biggest level of representation. And I think to your point, Nira, that when you talk about why we have to be invited to the table, because a lot of times we think that that's going to add to something to us. We want the invitation to the table because we don't see the worth and value of ourselves yet. That somebody else has to validate us in some way, shape, or form, right? Versus, I don't have to be at the table. Like, this is something, I know a lot of people get mad at Brother Roland and stuff, but guess what? He built his own table.
Come on now.
Okay.
Black Star Network, that's his own table.
Like,
right?
Farajii, you already know me. I'm
You know
like,
what I'm saying?
could this
Like, we
have
don't
been an
have to do this.
email? I'm
And
always
even
like,
on
this
this
could have been an
show,
email.
on this show, right? On this
Don't
show,
ask me to come to your table.
we
Send
come
me
and we
an
building
email.
our own table. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I don't have to be validated by the other big networks. Because guess what? I already know who I am and what I bring. You sisters, you already know who you are and what you bring. You don't have to go on other places to be seen and heard. Because there's already a place for that here.
I don't
When
know,
you build your own
HBO.
table, you
I got
recognize
a script.
you recognize the value of other people. Go ahead. I'm sorry, dear.
But Farajii, I'm messing with you. I'm like, speak for yourself. HBO, I got a script.
You know what? You're learn.
I know that's right.
I hear that. I hear that. Look, I gotta stop this. We gotta take a break. But Pam Curtis, you've been phenomenal. We thank you so much for being a part of the conversation today around Black women representation. How can people learn more about the work that you're doing, Pam?
Yes, you guys can follow me on IG at Pam Curtis Official. Pam Curtis Official. On Facebook by Pam Curtis. Hashtag pushing a vision, or even hashtag the rise of queens, the rise of kings. We rise together. And you can also email me for bookings, coaching, community consultant at bypamcurtis@gmail.com. bypamcurtis@gmail.com. This has been such an honor. It's so refreshing to me to actually speak to someone that's not programmed and that's conscious, that is not woke, but conscious thinkers. So I definitely thank y'all. You both are awesome. I speak prosperity, blessings, money, contracts, HBO, stars, everything. Hashtag Black Star Network. Stay black.
There we go. Pam Curtis, thank you so much. And we truly appreciate you being a part of the conversation. But most importantly, Pam, we thank you for being so good for the culture. We're going to certainly bring you back, sis. Thank you again.
Pam. Look, I got to be extra.
There we go. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's talk about what's happening in California. It's a big conversation that I'm passionate about. California is now proposing and considering a 4-day work week. Should the rest of the country follow? We'll have that. Plus, we got trends posting doing the most. Stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Farajii Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Man, absolutely great conversation we just had. Dynamic conversation so much. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did talking to those dynamic women. But I do want to shift gears a little bit because I want to talk about something that I have been advocating for. Now, yesterday, it just so happened that when I was talking to other Culture Crew member, Lise Winnie, we were talking about unnecessary meetings, wasting the workday. Remember that conversation yesterday? It was a great one. But then I said it yesterday. I said, you know what? This country really needs to consider the 4-day work week. The 5-day work week is not happening for us. And I think just on a lot of different levels, 5 days, 2 days for weekend, that thing is old and dead to me. I'm an advocate for the 4-day work week. Well, as soon as I got off the show, I'm scrolling, seeing what's going on around the country, and boom, this happened, folks. California has a proposal being considered by the state lawmakers there for a 4-day work week. Now, check this out, folks. Keenan, let's throw this information on the screen for us, please. Take a look at this. The state introduced a bill that would make the official work week 32 hours and no longer 40 hours for companies with 500 employees or more, giving higher raises and time and a half pay to any worker who surpasses that cutoff. A typical workday would remain 8 hours a day. Now, the bill is AB 2932, also states that 12 hours past the 32-hour cutoff would require double the normal wage, and workers would not be docked pay for working less than 32 hours. The bill does not address or cover workers who are under a collective bargaining agreement, however. So California is looking to become the first state in the country that is moving to a 4-day work week. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. Now, the 4-day work week is not just some random thing. There are a number of studies in countries across the globe. They have found that 32 hours is actually helpful and is healthy. It adds to more people being more productive and happy and being able to spend time better. It's not just some random thing. Let's bring back Culture Crew member Nir Muhammad on this. Dear, California is talking about a 4-day work week. You and I often talk about this. And one of the big things that Governor Gavin Newsom and the state lawmakers in California said is that because of the pandemic, people have realized that working from home is doable, and that it's been helpful for them to be able to find more balance between home life and work life. What's your take on that?
I think it's amazing. First of all, LA is my soul city. So the fact that my soul city and state is recognizing my soul, that I don't like to work. I'm really happy about it. But no, honestly, something about working 5 days a week and then only having 2 days off just doesn't sit right in my soul. I swear, you blink on Friday and it's Monday already. And you're like, what the hell? I don't feel replenished at all. My son has soccer. I had to clean the house. I had to do laundry. There's so much stuff that you have to do and try to cram into 2 days that you just really don't ever feel like you have time off. I have not even read a full, complete book since June. And I don't feel like I've had the time. I think Americans are overworked. We're tired. I think the pandemic definitely taught us all that we're overworked. We don't need to work for 40 hours. We're more productive when we have more time for our family and for our own mental health. I mean, look at all the things that we've been talking about, Farajii. We've been talking about how suicide is on the rise. We've been talking about how mental health issues is on the rise. Gun violence is on the rise. People are unhappy. We need to find better ways to balance the unhappiness, the stress, all these things that Americans are dealing with. We need to find better ways to handle it. And I think that reverting to a 4-day work week is exciting. I'm ready to sign up for it, but I do think that it is going to impact small businesses negatively. So that's also something that we have to look out for. So, there's going to be a lot of different, lenses that we're looking at this from, but I am all for it. If other countries can do it and can get it right, why can't America? We're always so slow to catch on to these things that other countries have been doing for years and have been doing well. So
You know what? I mean, you brought up 2 points. One is that we often tout the innovation of America, and we are always the last countries to do stuff, whether it's universal health care. We're not even having a real conversation about universal education. And then it's like the 4-day work week, something that countries have been doing for a long time for actually. That
there are countries who, you can go to college for free, and we're over here just begging to get student loans forgiven.
Right. We're pleading and begging the president to just cut $50,000. But the fact is that you got this 4-day work week and this idea of, not investing your whole adult life or all of your time. And I said it yesterday, I do not live to work.
Right.
And I mean, look,
or
this is not work to me. This is work, but it's not work.
America, it's like you live to work, you pay bills, you go on one vacation a year. Like that's so, we're seeing that it's not working. It's no longer working. Millennials particularly are like, this does not work. We don't like being micromanaged. We enjoy the comfortability of being able to travel, to being able to work while we're traveling. I know I just came from Mexico, and one of the women I just met, like we were literally just traveling. We become friends. Like we even wound up like staying at a hotel together, like all this stuff. She literally works from home. She's a vice president of a major corporation in the cannabis industry. She was like, I found these cheap tickets. I booked them for like $200 something literally yesterday. And now I'm going to be working remotely from Cancun. Like that is the way that we want to live. We want to be able to live, like, even if I am working, I know that there's better ways that I can do that than just being stuck in an office or in a cubicle and spending my life that way. Like, no one wants to do that anymore. It's outdated, it's old, and we're way more innovative. If we can go to space for fucking fun, we can find better ways to work.
Right. I like how you put that. Okay.
If we can go to space for fun, you're not going to tell me that I can't be in the fucking ocean with my laptop. Why not? I mean, seriously, like that's how I want to live. I am good with working. Like I have my passions. I'm not saying I don't want to work, but I don't always want to be like stuck, like feeling like I'm in a jail cell. Like my job should not confine me to make me feel like I'm in jail. I don't want to live like that.
No more. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not in 2022. Shakira checked in and said, look, the 5-day work week is played out. Having an extra day can clear your mind of all the craziness on the job, and you can take care of your personal business. I am here for it. Caden Baseball Footage said, I don't see that bill getting traction nationwide or even passing in California. I don't know, Caden. I think people are looking. I think this is the other part. People are really looking for radical change on how we have this experience called life, dear. And I think that is like after COVID, after 2 years or 2.5 years of having this life-ending, in some people's cases, this life-ending, condition in front of your face. I think that there has to be some reevaluation of your priorities. For example, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 47 million people had quit their jobs because they found out that they're not being fulfilled. That's one of the big reasons people are finding across the board over the past 2 years. People are finding like, what am I doing this for? They're asking why.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?
I quit the security of my teaching job in January of 2021. The security of that teaching job, that health insurance, the benefits, the pension, because I was miserable. I was so miserable. I was losing weight. I was in therapy. I was literally going to therapy twice a week. You know what I mean? Like, and I let it all go without securing another job. I literally was like, you know what? I'm going to step out on faith and I'm going to run my own business. And I made a decent amount of money on the back end of like quitting teaching and was happy. Like I didn't have the same security that I had in terms of money as I did when I was teaching, but I wasn't miserable. On Sundays, the high level of anxiety that I had on Sundays was absolutely insane. Like I would literally just dread going to work on Mondays. And it wasn't like I had like, a bad experience. Like when I got to work, my students were like abusive or, whatever. But the high level of anxiety that I felt made me decide that I can't do this anymore. And I literally went a year without working, like over a year actually. Like quit January. I didn't go back to the classroom until March of this year. And then being back in the class, I'm like, why the hell did I do this? So why did I do this? But seriously though, like, even the benefits aren't enough to keep people in these jobs anymore. It's just not enough.
I think that, and to your point, I think that people are looking for personal fulfillment, not just job security. No. I think all of us are getting to a place, which is why I think COVID, I mean, if you had to ask the question, well, what good things came out of COVID, there's this higher level of consciousness about the value of your life.
Yes, family.
About the importance of family. The big thing about COVID that stuck out for me has been you got a chance to rethink, to put a pause on things and say, wait a minute, I could be doing things differently. The problem that we're seeing in this country is that there is this, I would say, this mental shift, this mental awakening, but then you still have lawmakers and businesses that are still trying to operate pre-COVID. And it's not consistent with where we as the people are thinking. We as the people are like, all this stuff that the rat race, the whole idea of just getting money all day and I'm gonna just work until to myself to the bone. All of that is going out the window. People are like, there are much more important things to life than just punching a clock. Yeah. But the business and the political world are saying, no, there isn't. Like, we're trying to go back to 2019. And it's like, it's throwing people off. It's not consistent. It's not moving us forward.
I truly, truly believe that here in America, I know for me, I'm tired of our government. I'm tired of the system. I'm tired of the way that, lawmakers, and again, we know who's at the head. We were literally just talking about who's at the head of these corporations. Who is really running our government, and they're not thinking about us. They're not thinking about the greater good of the people. And that's a big issue, whether you're looking at the Republican or the Democratic side of things. There's a lot of slow movement to change. We have these lawmakers, we have all these people that before they get into these positions, they talk about how there's going to be these drastic changes, and we're still begging for things that we've been begging for 50 plus years. I mean, even down to like the whole cannabis industry, we see how impactful and how, it's really taken like Colorado's, their economy to the next level, how they've been able to put money back into their teachers, into their firefighters, into all these industries that were underfunded and underpaid just from the taxes and then the money that they're making off of cannabis. And you're wondering why are other states not doing this? Why has this not been done on a federal level? So we see that these things do work, but we're slow to move in that direction. And I just don't understand. It reminds me so much of like the Gilded Age, where you had like old New York fighting to keep things the way that it was, like not realizing like, okay, well, you're going to get left behind because you have all these new innovators and all these new thinkers, and they're coming to change it. And you're trying to resist this change so much that eventually you're going to get eaten up by the innovation and you're going to get left behind. So hopefully that's what we're going to see. Hopefully we as American citizens are going to push for that radical change more and more and more. We got to put our foot on their neck to see any real change in this country, because again, we have this old white patriarchal society that's like, no, this is the way that we want things to go, and they don't want to loosen the reins. We got to push for it.
Absolutely.
Biden better, I swear to goodness, Biden better come up off that $50,000 for these student loans. Like, bruh, that was the only reason like why I even remotely voted for you. Like, I want my student loans to be taken care of. Like, I want this to happen.
I understand. And then you're making a great point about, if people are resistant to change, people don't understand. And I think folks, those who are listening to us, understand you and I have the power to change things. Like, I always say, we are the culture. We have the power to change things. And I think to your point there, like if the institutions, if the government, and businesses want to stay in this old mindset, and the people are saying we're not at that point anymore, we're further along, then guess what's going to happen? there's going to be conflict, there's going to be friction, there's going to be a revolution in this country like we've never seen before.
Yeah, people
Folks,
are already seeing these strikes. I mean, hell,
Yep.
I was stuck in Mexico, and part of that reason was because you have all these pilots that have been on strike. People are tired. You have teachers that have been on strike. You have nurses that have been on strike. You have all these different industries where people are going on strike. They are tired. They're tired of being underpaid and overworked. And it just, something has to be done. And I am so tired of like the word like socialist or socialism being brought up. Just when it comes to like change that actually affects people. Like, why does it have to be this, oh, well, you're a socialist? Shouldn't we all be socialists? Shouldn't we all care about the greater good of the people? Like, what is government for if it's not for the people? What is a democracy if it's not for the people? Are we really a democracy? And that's another thing we have to start questioning. We have to like really question our government. Is this truly a democracy or is it not?
Much
Is that
bigger
like
question.
that's some foreign, concept that you guys are lying to us and trying to make us believe that we do have power when we really have so little power?
Yeah, you know what? That's a huge question. And I always go back to the phrase that is often used by social scientists and lawmakers alike that say that this is an American experiment. This is an experiment, folks. This means that it hasn't been done before. We're just trying something new. But we will see. Right. We will see if California, I think California is going to move forward with it, but we will see and certainly keep folks posted. We're going to take another quick pause. When we come back, Trends Post and Doing the Most. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
All right, folks, it's time for Trends Post and Doing the Most, and we're just keeping you up to date on some of the things that people are talking about on social media. All right, here's what's trending right now. Dwayne Haskins, this is the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who was tragically killed by a truck earlier this week. And so it has come out that there are going to be 2 memorial services for the football player. He will be memorialized on Saturday, April the 23rd. In Rockaway Township, New Jersey. That's his native home. And he's also going to have a second service that will be held at 7 p.m. at Bullis School in Potomac, Maryland, where he attended high school. Such a tragic story of Dwayne Haskins, but they will give him a homegoing service for a champion. And again, he was struck and killed by a dump truck on Interstate 595 in South Florida early last Saturday morning. So our hearts and prayers go out to the family of Dwayne Haskins. His parents said that on a statement yesterday that the pain at their loss was unimaginable, dear, but that they wanted to hold 2 memorials to allow his community of family, coaches, teammates, and friends to celebrate his life. So I am looking, I'm sure we're going to, hear more about those two memorial services. But our hearts and prayers and condolences go out to the Haskins family on that. Speaking of family, Kirian Franklin, this is the son of Kirk Franklin. Remember, dear, what Kirk Franklin had that leaked? Yeah, you remember. That's the look on your face. Kirian Franklin has officially been arrested. Apparently, he was driving the car of a missing woman who is presumed dead. Yeah, Kirian, who is a reality star. He's on the show Bad Boy Los Angeles. He's the estranged son of gospel superstar Kirk Franklin. This is the same son who Kirk had a profanity-laced rant against just a few some months back. But according to the reports, he was arrested by the Beverly Hills Police Department around 7:30 p.m. on Sunday, April the 10th. They found a firearm in his car, and he maintains that the gun isn't his and that he has no connection to the woman. Court documents also state that he is scheduled to see a judge later, and that he is being wrongfully detained as a result of this. And this whole situation, Kirian Franklin, it's got me asking some questions. I'm not saying the brother is guilty.
In the words of my man Kanan.
Oh no, I don't think he did this. I don't know. I can't call it. I can't call it.
Sorry, Farajii, but if I come up missing and a joker is driving my car, come on now.
I don't.
This woman is missing. You don't know this woman, so where'd you get the car from? Where'd you get the keys from?
He said that it was sold to him by the woman, and that when he got he said she was alive.
Is there any record of the sale? Is there any? Is the title been signed over to you? When did this happen? This is such bullshit. It sounds like no. All types of red flags are just being thrown up. I wish I had like some special effects right now, and I could just throw a bunch of red flags.
I don't know. I can't call it. We're just gonna have to keep it.
Are we still judging Kirk Franklin though for cussing this grown man out at this point? Because
it depends. I mean, like you know what happens between you and his. I think there's a lot of things that have transpired between Kirk Franklin and his son Kirian. So we will have to see.
What's the name of the show called that he's on? Bad Boys?
Bad Boys Los Angeles. It's a reality show.
Bad Boys Los Angeles?
Bad Boys Los Angeles.
So he already wants to portray that he's a bad boy until the cops come knocking on his door, huh? Oh, that's cute.
All right, let's move on.
I watch Joe Kenda all the time. Like, I know how this goes. Everybody's hard and tough until the cops come knocking.
Oh man, not in a good way. It's not at the Maxwell song.
I watched First 48.
I really do hope that he ain't involved in some stuff.
They all tough in the street until they get to the interrogation room.
Yeah. How about that?
Breaks down real fast.
Let's move on. Speaking of bad boys, Snoop Dogg is in the news, of course, for some good things. Apparently, since he started, he has officially bought Death Row Records. People are wondering, well, what's going to be the future of Death Row? Snoop Dogg has said that he wants to do a collaboration with Bad Boy Records. How about that? He said that he got nothing but love for Puff. Do we have the video of this, Keenan? Can we post the video? Can we do that real quick? He was on the podcast Drink Champs thing. He talks about how he said that he got nothing but love for Puff. He knows Puff's children. He's like, he don't have no beef with Puff, even though there's that historic beef between Bad Boy and Death Row leading back to the time that Tupac and Biggie was around. But he said at this point, we can show growth and progression, that we can move forward. We can take this Bad Boy Death Row, what it used to be, and make it a collaboration on peace and love, because that's who I am. I'm Shug and Puffy. I'm all in the videos, rapping, dancing, all of that. I love Snoop, yo.
He's so sweet. I think it's an old beef. It's so silly. Like,
check this out real quick, y'all. Here's Snoop Dogg's on Drink Champ. Check this out. Here we go. Look at him. He repping Death Row. Oh, we got the sound.
Nope.
No sound. There we go. There we go. All right. So look, Snoop Dogg is just talking about he's moving past all of the beef. He's going to continue to do what he needs to do. And he said to all of the haters out there, F y'all, I'm going to do what I do because guess what? I own Death Row.
It's always a bunch of broke people that got something to say. I'm out of my business. I don't make enough money to comment. No, for real. I saw somebody post something like that the other day. They were like, so I checked out Jada's net worth, Will's net worth, and Chris's net worth. My net worth ain't high enough for me to comment on this. I'm like, listen, rich folk, y'all do what y'all do. Y'all do what y'all do. Congrats.
But no, you know what? I think that, and I'm happy that Snoop Dogg is in the position that he's in. He's also looking, and I think, dear, you know this more than I do. He said that he also wants to make Death Row a place for NFTs. He want to make Death Row an NFT with music and art. So he's looking to expand the brand in that space as well, which I was like, that's pretty good because he's already doing some things in that space of NFTs, non-fungible. What is it? Yeah. Non-fungible
tokens.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to say the least that he's doing. So big shout out to Snoop Dogg. So that's what's trending, posting, and doing the mosting on today's show. Thank you so much, dear.
Oh, you're so lucky to have me.
Get off TV. All right. We'll talk later. Thank you so much, Nira Muhammad. Check her out on her podcast, Queen Talks with Nira Muhammad. You can also check her out on her. There we go. Boom. There we go. She just completed season 2. Go back and listen to all of the hot things that she has to say about everything about cleaning out your closet to, being able to kind of move on and just get up and dust yourself off. A lot of inspirational messages on her podcast, Queen Talks with Nira Muhammad, streaming on all podcasting streaming platforms. Thank you so much, dear, for being your insight and certainly for being so good for the culture. We appreciate you.
Oh.
All right, folks, let me get off. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. I thank each and every one of you. So many of you participated in today's conversation. So we thank you so much for your time, for your insight. And of course, this is the work that we're doing here on the Black Star Network. And we, of course, need your continued support. So make sure you go to blackstarnetwork.com. Support us as much as you can. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, and Zelle. Support us. We are Black-owned media, unapologetic, unfiltered. This is the media that you know that you need in your life. And of course, we're going to talk to you about the big stories and talk to you about the cultural stories with the hope that all of these stories will shape your world to see your value and your worth. And so make sure you continue to show your support for Black Star Network. That's going to do it for me. Stay tuned at the 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time is my big brother Roland Martin with Roland Martin Unfiltered. And of course, we are going to continue to have some great conversations. Tomorrow, I talked to Mr. Pierce Godwin to talk about how do we bridge the gap of division in this country. And he has created an organization that is bringing folks nationally together to just simply talk, listen, and understand one another. We're going to have that conversation tomorrow. So as always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Peace.